Live today, full speech breakdown, Princess Leonor vision for Spain. The scene felt familiar. Flags perfectly placed, officials seated, cameras trained on the podium. Another formal address from Spain's future queen, carefully written, respectfully delivered, and safely aligned with tradition. That's what everyone expected. But within the first moments, it became clear this speech wasn't operating on autopilot. Because Princess Leonor didn't speak like someone rehearsing the crown. She spoke like someone already carrying it. And that realization changed how every word landed. This was supposed to be symbolic. Instead, it felt directional. And here's the curiosity Spain can't shake. If this wasn't a declaration of power, why did it sound so much like a vision? Today's speech mattered not because it broke protocol, but because it quietly bent it. Leonor didn't challenge tradition, she reframed it. And that's far more destabilizing than rebellion. Let's break down what actually happened, why it landed so deeply, and why Spain is still processing what it heard. From the moment Leonor stepped forward, her posture communicated intention. Not stiffness, not nerves, presence. The kind that doesn't rush silence but allows it to settle. She didn't fill the space with urgency. She let the room lean toward her. That alone signaled something new. Future monarchs are trained to reassure. Leonor went further. She invited responsibility not just onto herself, but onto everyone listening. Her opening wasn't grand. It was grounded. She spoke of Spain not as an abstraction, but as lived experience. Towns, classrooms, families, young people unsure if institutions still speak for them. Why start there? Because trust doesn't begin with promises. It begins with recognition. Leonor didn't open by telling Spain who she will be. She opened by showing she understands who Spain is becoming. That's the first signal this speech was different. Very early on, she acknowledged uncertainty. Not as weakness, as reality. In 2025, Spain faces generational divides, economic anxiety, digital transformation, and growing skepticism toward inherited authority. Most heirs avoid naming that out loud. Leonor named it calmly. She didn't dramatize it. She didn't diminish it. She accepted it. That acceptance is powerful, because when leadership acknowledges doubt without defensiveness, it creates space for dialogue. The speech then shifted into something more personal. She referenced learning from service, from discipline, from listening before acting. Those words landed differently because of what Spain knows about her recent path. Military training, institutional immersion, preparation away from the spotlight. This wasn't theory. It was lived experience being translated into civic language. And here's where the curiosity loop deepened. Leonor didn't outline grand reforms. She didn't promise disruption. She spoke about responsibility as continuity with conscience. So the question became unavoidable. Is she positioning herself as a stabilizer or a reformer? The answer seemed to be both. She spoke of unity without denying fragmentation. Of heritage without glorifying the past. Of progress without rejecting what anchors Spain's identity. That balancing act is difficult even for seasoned leaders. Coming from someone her age, it felt intentional. Observers in the room noted something else. She didn't speak down to younger Spaniards. She spoke with them. Her language avoided formality where it wasn't needed. Her tone acknowledged digital life, global identity, and the pressure of visibility. It felt current without feeling performative. That matters. Because young citizens don't reject institutions outright. They reject institutions that don't see them. Leonor made it clear she wants to see them. Another key moment came when she referenced the idea of service not as sacrifice for its own sake, but as participation in shared responsibility. That's a subtle but massive shift. Traditional monarchy frames service as duty imposed by birth. Leonor framed it as commitment chosen daily. That distinction reframes the crown as something that must earn relevance every day, not assume it. And Spain noticed. The speech also carried emotional undertones tied to family, though never explicitly named. Those listening could read between the lines. Mentions of learning from example. Of resilience passed quietly from one generation to the next. Many interpreted this as a nod to Queen Sophia's endurance and King Philippe's steady leadership. Others saw echoes of Queen Letitia's insistence on modern credibility. But Leonor didn't position herself as an extension of any one influence. She positioned herself as a receiver of lessons, not a replica of predecessors. That matters in 2025. Because Spain doesn't want a copy of the past. It wants continuity that knows when not to repeat mistakes. One of the most talked about sections came when Leonor addressed trust. Not asking for it, not demanding it, explaining how she intends to deserve it. She spoke about transparency not as exposure, but as accountability. About listening even when criticism is uncomfortable. About carrying the weight of representation without losing touch with individual reality. That line resonated across political and generational divides. Because trust in institutions has eroded not through scandal alone, but through distance. Leonor reduced distance with language that felt unforced. The pacing of her delivery changed as the speech deepened. Faster moments early on, confident and focused. Then slower, more reflective passages where she allowed emotion without leaning on it. That pacing was not accidental. It mirrored leadership growth itself. Act, reflect, act again with more clarity. And then came a subtle but defining moment. She spoke about the future not as something she will lead alone, but as something Spain will shape collectively. That language transfers ownership. It quietly says the crown does not exist above society, but within it. For a monarchy, that's a profound statement. And it invites a question she didn't answer directly. If leadership is shared, what changes when she eventually ascends? That unanswered question is what keeps the speech echoing. Leonor concluded not with certainty, but with commitment. No timelines, no declarations, no absolutes, just presence. And that left Spain both reassured and unsettled. Reassured because she showed readiness beyond her years. Unsettled because readiness means change is no longer abstract. Reactions afterward reflected this complexity. Supporters praised her clarity, composure, and emotional intelligence. Skeptics acknowledged the tone shift, even if they withheld judgment. Critics noted that words are not actions, but even they recognized the difficulty of dismissing what felt sincere. This was not a performance designed to trend. It was a speech designed to age well. And that may be its most strategic quality. Princess Leonor did not attempt to define her reign today. She defined her relationship with Spain. That relationship is still forming. Still being tested. Still fragile. But after this speech, it feels mutual. The question now isn't whether she has a vision. It's whether Spain is ready to grow into it alongside her. Because today didn't sound like rehearsal. It sounded like arrival. And once a future queen arrives in voice before title, the future stops feeling distant. It starts feeling present. That is why this speech matters. Not because it changed everything today, but because it made it clear that change is no longer theoretical. Princess Leonor is no longer preparing in silence. She is speaking into Spain's future with intention. And Spain is listening.